Kevin Buck, Michael Burlow coming to you live every Sunday, 7:30 to 8. It's the biggest Sunday night of Mike's life to this point. Mets, Giants, right on the horizon. We will get you there over the next half hour. But, Mike, I know this is not a baseball show, but you do have the Mets tonight. You do have the Giants tonight. Emotionally, before we get into this horrendous London game, what are you feeling?
Yeah, surprisingly, I feel good. I shouldn't feel this good with how the night could end, but I'm not thinking negatively. We're only thinking positively. The Mets have given me nothing but positive thoughts for the past 2 weeks now, so I have faith in them, and I have faith in the New York Giants to at least keep the game close tonight and move the ball against a bad Bengals defense. I'm sure we'll talk about that quick before we get out of here.
Yeah, so I do think for you tonight, it's either end of the extreme. You go 0-2 or 2-0.
You think so?
I think it's going to be 2-0. Let's go Mets. Let's go Giants. Big night tonight for Mike. Let's
you
go.
think it's 2-0? You think really?
I think it's 2-0. I think you win both tonight.
Is that just you being nice? Because I could easily.
No, that's me being serious. I think the Giants are beating the Bengals, and I'm confident with the Mets. I'm 50.
See, I like the Mets tonight. I like the Mets tonight. I don't know how much I like the Giants tonight.
All right, well, we'll discuss Giants when we wrap this up. So closer to 8 o'clock, you'll get our thoughts on what to expect and what we think is going to happen, what to watch for in the Sunday Night Football game between the Giants and Bengals at MetLife Stadium. But, Mike, we started today across the pond. Second week in a row, the NFL had a morning game, and these morning games are just – they're terrible. None of them are really entertaining. None of them – football feels like it's supposed to start at 1, and then you put the Jaguars out there, and it feels like it's not even supposed to be played ever. And that's what happened today, 35-16. Bears win. The positive takeaway from this game is Caleb Williams looks very good the last 2 weeks, and they took care of a bad team, probably the worst team in the league here.
They might be the worst team in the league. Yeah, give credit to Caleb. He played well against another. Listen, they haven't played anybody really, but when you have a young team like this with the coach really trying to make a name for himself, it doesn't matter who you're playing as long as you're getting W's, and that's what they're doing. They got 4 wins now, and the defense is certainly playing well. But I agree with you. I couldn't get up for this game at all. I mean, I put it on as I woke up around 9:30. I had no action on the game, although I probably should have. I like the Bears today. But either way, I had no action. I couldn't watch it, and I couldn't get into it at all. And then it ends up being a bad game. So Caleb looked good. He made a couple of really nice throws. That one back shoulder in the end zone where he had to fit it through a tight window to Keenan Allen was a nice one. So no surprise that one of the more hyped up quarterbacks we've ever seen coming out of college is now playing well, Kevin.
Yeah, that's exactly what we expected. I know that he had the rough couple first games, but I thought that was more of a product of what was going on around him. The offensive line didn't look very good in those first few games. Waldron was really trying to figure out his personnel. And then there was that article before last week's game, which was a home win for them against the Rams. There was the article, or was last week the Panthers win for Chicago.
Last week was the Panthers, yeah.
Yeah, but there was the article before the Rams game, I believe, where it had said the Bears captains and veterans and Caleb Williams are urging Shane Waldron to open up the playbook here and really let them rip and just go balls to the wall, nothing conservative, and let's go. Let's use this kid because we think he's really good. And since then, has he been absolutely great, top 5 quarterback in the league? No, but has he been top 10, 12 the last 3 weeks? Yeah, and you see the ceiling is, just as high as you can go with Caleb Williams.
Well, they're also running the football, which is big.
Exactly.
They weren't doing anything in the run game, so at least now they're opening that up for him.
And I'll say, too, you watch them, and this is what Bears fans have kind of dreamed of. You have a good run game going. The offensive line is holding up well. You have the quarterback, absolutely, these last few weeks. Cole Kmet looks very good. You have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze, who I know hasn't really been playing since the concussion, and then he had a couple nice games. But this today felt like what the Bears fans dreamed of going into this season. An offense that moves the ball, a defense that does enough to make it comfortable, and they're just taking care of bad teams these last 3 weeks. Now, their last 3 opponents, all wins, have a combined 3 wins this season. So are we saying they're contenders? Absolutely not. But they look good, and they're taking care of business.
They're in it. And it's funny. We said, I think a few weeks ago on the recap, does it make sense that they're playing this badly? They had, like, what else were they supposed to do in the offseason? You know, they added weapons. You know, they had continued to add to their offensive line. Their defense was in good shape. And it was like, it's definitely coaching. And now I think they're figuring it out. Excuse me. Caleb's getting more comfortable. And here we are.
And the best game of the day on paper and in result was Washington at Baltimore, 30-23 win. And we picked this as our win of the week, which usually does go to an underdog. It went to the Giants last week at Seattle. It went to the Patriots in week 1, beating the Bengals. But obviously this week we just didn't have that. So when it comes to a quality win, it was Baltimore today. Win by a touchdown against the 4-1 Commanders, against one of the league's top quarterbacks in Jayden Daniels, who has really played terrific, played well today. Also, what were your takeaways here?
Yeah, this was a game that I had liked coming into it. On the gambling side of things, I thought, you know, a lot of people were going to be on this Commander team with the way they played. Listen, the Commanders have not faced a team like the Baltimore Ravens. Now, let's look at it from a Ravens side. The Ravens have really put it all together offensively. The run game is unstoppable with these two going, Lamar and Derrick Henry. And then you add the fact that Zay Flowers has become a serious weapon the past couple of weeks. He's getting the ball at an extreme rate. They're getting Mark Andrews involved now. So where the receivers, like, they should still go out and do whatever they can to add a receiver if they can. They always should be looking to add at that position. But it seems as though they're becoming more comfortable and they're just getting better each week, along with the defense, which didn't look good to start. Now really coming into things. So they had lost pieces in the offseason on the offensive line, and now the offensive line's coming together. Same thing on defense. Lost a couple of guys on defense. Now really coming together, playing some great football. No surprise to me today. I thought they'd win by a little bit more today. So give credit to the Commanders for hanging in, and really nice catch and throw at the end there to, like, really seal this deal. It was like a close game on that 4th and 5 on the sideline with McLaurin there. That was a really nice play. But Commanders still impressive, but they run into a buzzsaw here.
Yeah, it feels like Baltimore, after starting 0-2, now 4-2. It doesn't feel like there's a better team in the league, Mike. I don't take Minnesota. I don't take Kansas City over Baltimore. Not a knock on those teams, but a praise on this team. First 2 weeks were a fluke, man. That's what it was. And in the regular season, the last few years, obviously we saw last year on full display, there might not be a better quarterback than Lamar, and there might not be a better coach than Harbaugh. Guys that are as good, sure, Allen, Mahomes, and then coaching, you have Reed, Shanahan, guys like that, but those are the best of the best. And Baltimore, the defense flies. They got superstars on defense. Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton are great, but it's the backfield that just totally sells it for you. If you're a front seven, how do you actually approach playing this team? You have Lamar, who is so quick, so versatile, can pass as well. You have Henry, who is 6 yards a running downhill, never loses anything. You have 2 Pro Bowl level tight ends running around the middle of the field. And then on the outside, there's Zay Flowers, and they're getting something out of Rashad Bateman here too. Yeah. So this team is so well-oiled right now. I just don't watch a better team on Sunday ever.
No, the last month of the season, they're the best team in football. There's no doubt about it. For the past month, they're the best. You can't give me another team. And again, they're doing it in impressive fashion. This week against the hot Commander team, go back last week, in a dogfight against a division opponent that needed a win. And then the 2 wins they had against Buffalo and obviously Dallas, where they blew them out as well, let them back in late. So this is a good football team. They're a well-oiled machine. Yeah, I think they're better than Minnesota, better than San Francisco, better than anybody. I think they're better than Detroit. I think if they played Detroit right now, I think Baltimore would be 3.4-point favorites and they'd win the game outright. So I really do like this Baltimore Raven team right now as the best team in the league.
All right, let's move on to Cleveland and Philadelphia. This game was terrible. I mean, yeah, that's all you really can say about this one.
Kevin.
It's an awful game. But I want to start at the end of it with Sirianni. I don't know if that's what you want to do here.
Kevin, what's today's date?
10/13.
10/21. Nick Sirianni has been fired after the loss to the New York Giants in the Meadowlands.
No
that
way.
Will be the headline.
No way.
A week and a day from today. You mark my words. Sirianni will not be the coach of this team. after they lose to the Giants.
No way.
Yes.
Absolutely. I
Yes.
cannot see that happening. Absolutely
Yes.
no way.
He's gone. Done.
I did want to start with him, though, because this guy's a moron after the game going and yelling at Browns fans.
I thought it was Eagle fans.
Either way, dude.
I think he's yelling at Eagle fans.
Remember the Kansas City situation?
This
Where
guy.
he's walking out of the tunnel in Kansas City after beating them in the regular season. By the way, after they lost the Super Bowl to them the year before. And what'd he say? You know, how about that, Chiefs fans? Shut the F up or something. I don't know.
This guy is not mentally tough enough to be a coach in the NFL. He can't.
He's so insecure. He is wildly insecure.
Can't handle it. They're getting booed at halftime of this game after the blocked field goal return for a touchdown. I think he's yelling at the Eagle fans. I don't think he's yelling at Brown fans.
Okay.
So I think he's challenging the Eagle fans like, where are you now? Where are you now? But either way, this guy is like, on top of him just not being like mentally fit to run a football team and not strong enough mentally to run a football team, this guy can't coach. He doesn't add anything. And this team wins a game today basically based on the fact that they got their 2 stud receivers back. Other than that, this is still a poor football team.
Yeah, I agree with that. And my next point would have been A.J. Brown, if you want to go to a positive here. This guy does not get mentioned in the light of Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He frequently isn't at that top of the list in conversations. But my God, if you watch football on Sunday, you know he's there. He is so great. And this Eagles team is completely different without him.
They're completely different without him. They're literally lost without him. But then again, I look, Kevin, and I say they scored 20 points today against a team that everybody's beating up on. Like, I'm not impressed with today. Like, you needed to win today. You were 8.5-point favorites at home, and you were in jeopardy of losing this game at home. So for me, this is about the fact that this team still can't get their heads out of their asses. They don't get a pass rush. What the hell's going on with Bryce Huff? I mean, is the guy non-existent? They have major issues that will not be covered up here. You know, they're still going to be talked about. You're in a city where, you know, even though you win a game, your faults are going to be thrown all out there, and they will be thrown out there after what was an unimpressive win.
Yeah, the Eagles don't look very good. I'll take my second straight victory lap on the Browns. They suck, man. Yeah. I mean, Browns fans trying to tell me a few weeks ago, so many Browns fans flooding in, telling me I don't watch the Browns. Unfortunately, I do. I do, unfortunately. I wish it was the case that I just looked at the box score. But I watch this crappy team every week, and they suck, man. They're a mess. They are at a point. Watson had some moments in the third quarter today where I actually said he was resembling a solid quarterback. He had the streak. I think he 8 or 9 consecutive completions. But in the first half, he was terrible. He holds the ball so long. He looks down one receiver every play. He stinks. And they are about to lose this locker room, man. Stefanski is about to lose it. And we spoke 2 or 3 weeks ago. Will Stefanski get fired? And neither of us have to think it's his fault they stink. Maybe I think we go to the general manager, the front office, to ownership for that. But, Mike, there's no way he makes it through this.
I think he'll make it through it. I still hold on to that. But, man, is it a problem? It's such a problem. And, you know, again, they could go to a backup and see what happens. I don't think this roster is as good as we think, though.
No, it's not.
Where if they went to Winston, would it be a slight improvement? Sure. Did you see the stat about them on third downs with him on the field? They're 0 for their last
straight.
0 for their last 26 on third downs where he's on the field converted. So
just horrible.
I mean, it's embarrassing. It's putrid. That's a little bit on coaching. I mean, come on, Stefanski.
Yeah.
I mean, they get him off the field though. They've been trying to they put Winston in on these 3rd and shorts, and they ran a 3rd and short today, an important 3rd and short to try and extend the drive, and they run an end around and get it blown up. So, you know, maybe a little bit of it's on coaching.
A few weeks ago against the Giants, when they tried to run that sneak with Winston on 3rd and short or 4th and short, that was terrible. I don't know if you remember that play.
Yeah.
That was awful. So, all right, Stefanski not elevating his team here, but is this totally his fault? Is this a guy the Browns should fire? Probably not, considering the success that Browns had.
Because look at what they did last season. Like, I think these two coaches I'm about to say are very comparable, Shane Steichen and Kevin Stefanski. Look at what Stefanski was able to do with Joe Flacco throwing the ball, and now look at what Steichen's able to do with Flacco throwing the ball for him. The offense looks better. The receivers look better. You know, if you throw somebody in there like that, I don't know if Winston's the guy. I think Flacco's the guy, but obviously is employed by another team. Like, it would look better.
Yeah, them not bringing back Flacco was a huge mistake this offseason, Cleveland, and we don't have to tell them that, but that was a massive blow by them just because you know you have a guy that can execute this offense at a very high level. And now you have all these receivers let's not even go down the road anymore. Cleveland stinks. They're horrible. They have a lot of names that aren't like Elijah Moore, Jerry Jeudy. These are not guys that have had success in the NFL. So the names are there, but they're not really good players.
Right.
And Cleveland overall, because of the quarterback and offensive line situation, is just a total dead end for these teams. Another day, no touchdown today for Cleveland on offense. They had the special teams touchdown, and they had 2 field goals.
I feel bad for the fans. I feel terrible for these fans that have to sit here and watch. I mean, we know it best, not being able to watch competent offensive football.
Yeah.
You know, we're both Giant and Jet fans here. So, but I feel for them because I know what they're going through.
Yeah, it's terrible. And for the Browns fans, I think it's at a level that no one else has it for Browns fans. But at least we have the Mets and Yankees. They have the Guardians. They're doing good things in baseball, so they can go turn on. That's why it's good that teams like Philadelphia, Kansas City were bounced from the baseball playoffs because they don't deserve to have 2 good teams. We deserve to have at least 1. All right. Cardinals at Packers. You got Jordan Love as your top performer. I thought this was a good win for Green Bay. I'll let you start.
Yeah, this was a big win. They came in as 5.5-point favorites, and I honestly thought that was a little high coming in. I liked them there on the spread, though, just because of the reverse jinx thing. But Love looked good, fitting the ball into some tight windows today. He needed this after playing poorly against the Rams and having that terrible interception. The receivers have made some plays. Jaden Reed all of a sudden has become, I think, the top wide receiver here in Green Bay for them this season. So a lot of big-time performances out of their receivers. And again, LaFleur is such a good coach. He knows exactly what he's doing here, getting Jacobs involved as well a little bit. So, you know, Jordan Love, just an efficient day against an ant defense, but throws 4 touchdowns in a game that I thought he had to have. And, you know, I'm starting to ask these questions here. You had brought up the fact a couple of weeks ago that maybe Gannon might be on the hot seat after this year with a bad year. And with the way they look today, the sloppiness, the penalties, that is becoming more likely, I think, because they should be better than what you're seeing on the field some weeks.
And their defense is not getting better. I'll say this about the Packers defense. Very good, very improved from last season. Mm-hmm. I know they added some pieces. Xavier McKinney has been massive for them this year, having a career year. You know all about the X-Man and the secondary, and obviously really good player, but he's taken his game to a seemingly new level this season. Jair Alexander, great. They have good, really probably a top 7 front 7, I'd say. I don't know if there's many better. Everyone's solid in it. And they got Hafley, the Boston College coach, to leave the NCAA because he's tired of the NIL and the new rule changes.
Losing players.
Yeah, so he decides, I'm going to go to the NFL and probably try to become an NFL head coach. And this guy is having an excellent first 6 weeks here. And the Packers moved to 4-2 despite losing Jordan Love for 2 weeks, and they won both of those games. Everything going right for them. I just want to bring this up. I heard Phil Simms talking this week on Boomer and Gio Wednesday morning on WFAN, and he had talked about how the Jets' offense is so stale, and they don't really do much motion, much play action. It's a lot of 5 wide, let Rodgers diagnose the play, and don't move around. He just wants to see what's going on, and that's the way he operates, which worked 10 years ago, and worked, 3 or 4 years ago. But Matt LaFleur doesn't want to do that. We see the Packers run a lot of motion. They run a lot of play action. And the narrative that Simms portrayed was that LaFleur was frustrated with Rodgers, and that Rodgers is the reason that the Jets offense lacks creativity. He was the reason that the Packers lacked creativity, which led to playoff losses, in my opinion. And now we see LaFleur full control of this offense. Right. Jordan Love looks very good. I think Jordan Love's excellent. We weren't too concerned. I brought up the question a few weeks ago, but we were never too concerned about him. Love looks really good here. But Arizona, I think, good point to bring that back. They're in trouble. They should not be this bad, Mike.
No, they looked bad today. They did. And it's a good point with LaFleur. He's one of the top 5 coaches, I think, in the NFL right now. You know, if I'm going to start a franchise and I can have my pick, he's going to be up there on that list. He's just a great offensive mind and comes from a great tree. So, yeah, this Cardinal team, they should be better, and I don't have much here else on this game.
No, me either. Tampa Bay and New Orleans. All I wanted to really talk about in this game is Tampa's offense exploding, 51 points. Chris Godwin, a massive, massive game. He was in top performer territory for sure today. But the Saints also just feels like they're in a little bit of trouble here without Carr. They had a nice start, scoring, I believe, all 27 of their points in the first half.
Yeah.
And then just a bad second half. You think this division's kind of wrapped, or is Atlanta in this mix? They won today against the Panthers.
They're definitely no. I think it's a good race. I think this is a good race with Atlanta and Tampa Bay. So I'll be interested.
Done.
What?
Saints are done here, though.
The Saints are not involved in this race. No, I mean that was a major fluke start. We'll be joking about how fluke of a start and how great of a start it was for the Saints for years to come. I mean, we will compare teams that are not that good to the Saints that start off great for years. I'm going to use it at least. And
let's look at their first 2 weeks, man, because the next game we're going to is Detroit at Dallas.
Yeah.
First 2 weeks where they had those explosions, 47 points against Carolina. That's not impressive. And all right, I'll say this. 40 points against anyone, impressive. 47 points against Carolina is the least impressive team you can score 47 points against. The Cowboys, 44 points on the road in Dallas. That's starting to become a trend.
Yes.
So we'll talk about that in a moment. But yeah, Saints offense and Saints team overall just doesn't look great. And now Dennis Allen here, another guy that could be entering hot seat territory if they continue to play this way without Carr.
Let's say this. I think Rattler gives them I didn't watch a lot of this game. I saw some things from Rattler where I'm like, oh, that looks good. But other than that, I can't really sit here and dissect his start. I think with Kubiak here and a couple of pieces here and there, maybe you start to see something over the next few weeks. Like, hey, you know, we might want to see how this goes the rest of the year, giving him, you know, a couple of more starts, even when Carr's healthy. So let's see if he can get to that point. I think that's got to be the goal here for Rattler. Let's show us something here.
And they get a quick turnaround. They play a football fan's dream of a game on Thursday night when they host the Broncos on prime time. So quick turnaround.
That's the Thursday night game this week.
Yeah, be grateful that there's baseball on.
Jesus.
On Thursday
night. The Mets will be playing, yeah.
Yeah, they will be. So that's a terrible Thursday night game. Saints get a quick turnaround to try and fix it up. But this is the game I really want to talk about on this whole slate is Detroit at Dallas. Mike, I mean, what an ass kicking this was down at Dallas. They are bad. This is a bad team. Their only wins for Dallas, the only wins they have this year, Giants, Pittsburgh, Cleveland. Not impressed with any of those three wins. They're losing at home badly this season. Prescott doesn't look very good. The offense as a whole doesn't look very good. The run game is one of the worst I've seen in the history of the NFL. I mean, I have never, in my time watching, seen a less intimidating run game than what the Dallas Cowboys have. And how about Detroit today? I mean, they just go in and absolutely smoke Dallas.
Yeah, this is a really bad football team. There's really, I mean, it's just today's Jerry Jones's birthday, by the way. Okay, this is great. 47-9. You know what's funny, Kevin? You look back at some of these losses. And I saw the tweet that went out there today about how they, just look at their past, I think 4 straight home games, what the scores have been at halftime. Usually, this is a really good home team. So this is even more shocking, like especially coming from somebody that watches this team and has been owned by this team, especially in that building. It is shocking to see the way they have played at home. It's embarrassing what they've done. I don't necessarily want to put this on Dak, Kevin, but we're really going to start having a conversation now about the contract that he was just given. I understand the roster is not that great. They did a poor job building it, giving out contracts when they did. So I think this is more on the front office. I'll ask you this. I mean, they put up 9 points, but McCarthy's the leader of the offense. Does he have any consideration to be gone tomorrow? Because this is a loss that gets you fired. Now, I don't think they're going to fire the defensive coordinator in Zimmer after he just got here, but do you consider firing McCarthy after this?
I was thinking about it today. The problem with firing McCarthy is his assistants. who is going to become the head coach there? Mike
You're not
Zimmer
gonna
is not.
you're not gonna elevate Zimmer after giving up
And
47 points at home.
Brian Schottenheimer's the offensive coordinator. He is just not he's not even a good offensive coordinator.
Right.
So you're going to elevate one of those two guys. I don't know if their special teams coach, that guy's been there for a while. I don't know. I'm forgetting his name right now, but I don't know if that really gives you an out there. There's just not an option unless you wanted to go so drastic and bring in Mike Vrabel or Bill Belichick in week 7, which is not going to happen. So I think you're stuck with McCarthy for this season.
Yeah, it's interesting. He hasn't made the move, like the oh my god, crazy dramatic type move. So in a while. So I don't I tend to agree with you where I don't think he'll make it. But in any other scenario, I mean, let's think of a coach quick. If they lost this exact game that's already considered on the hot seat, this gets you gone.
Yeah, this is a bad one. This is a really terrible loss for them. It's worse because it's at home, and there's an ego and expectation with the Dallas Cowboys playing at home, and they've been excellent the last few years at home. All they do at home is win with Prescott and McCarthy. This year, it's even more of an issue because of the way they're losing. They're getting killed in their building, absolutely destroyed at home. That's a big red flag. Not only for the coaches, but for the entire team and culture that you're at home in front of 100,000 people every week, giving up almost 50 points multiple times, 40-plus points in losses multiple times, and you're not scoring 35. They didn't even – what did they finish, say, with 9?
This is great. This is unbelievable. I love this.
And it's great for you. I mean, you have a Nick Sirianni embarrassment today. The Commanders lose today. The Cowboys are awful. But
Giants got a chance today to say, hey, 1 second here, but we might not be as bad, and then they go beat Philly next week. You're going to be sitting there saying, should have beat Washington, lost close to Dallas. We might be sitting here with an NFC East like, holy crap, what's going on? I'm just saying.
So we'll finish up here, Giants, Cincinnati, as we're at 8 o'clock. That I'm not a Daboll hater. I'm not totally in love with him either. I'm just in a neutral state with him, trying to see where he goes. You love him, and I get that, and I don't knock that. But my knock on Daboll is that he doesn't win division games. They have not done well in the division with him. And they haven't been as talented as other teams, that's for sure. But especially against the Cowboys, they can't beat them, and they can't beat Prescott. So the Giants are in a position now this year and in 22 when they made the playoffs and won that game, where I'm saying, you can always look back at the games and say, oh, if we would have won this game, we would have won this game. If you had 2 incredibly winnable division games against the teams ahead of you, two teams ahead of you, Giants are in the last, but it's a close 4 teams right here. And you had 2 very winnable games, one against Washington because you didn't have a kicker, and the other against the Cowboys, which just felt like they could never break the seal and get into the end zone. But they moved the ball all night. Neighbors was great, but they just never got into the end zone. And that's where I go wrong with Daboll. You have to win these division games, especially early in the year. Like, look at Atlanta. Atlanta has not been as good as we thought they would be to start the season. But they're 3-0 in the division, which has put them in a prime spot to hit their stride here end of October and win the division. You have to win those early games.
Got to win them. He'll have a chance to make it up here, in a game where I think a lot of people thought they'd have no chance looking at the schedule before the year. So it'll be interesting to see what they do tonight because, even banged up with no Singletary, no Kayvon, no Malik Neighbors, you should move the ball against a bad Cincinnati defense. So that's something I think this team can hold their hat on tonight, move the ball. Let's see how Jones looks again. He's played 4 straight games. We joked about it coming in. He's played 4 pretty damn good games here. Yeah. So let's see if he's able to continue that tonight. I think they lose close. I think it's like a 4 or 5 point win here for Cincinnati. I think it's a tight game, but Kevin, all my focus is on the next the Mets here though, as they start in 13 minutes. But
I will be 13 minutes, 23 seconds away from the NLCS.
I will have an eye on the Giants.
I'll
have
should.
An eye. I'll have like an eye and a half on the Mets. 2 eyes on the Mets. Like a half eye on
All right, there you go. 2 eyes on the Mets, half an eye on the Giants.
I
They
got
are
3 eyes.
3.5-point underdogs at home tonight. The Bengals might be the greatest 1-4 team of all time. They have a terrible defense, but man, do they score points.
They can score. They definitely can score. And, it's going to be a challenge for the Giant defense, which has had takeaways and sacks now over all of a sudden in the last 4 games. They're going to have to pressure the quarterback. They're going to have to make Burrow feel somewhat uncomfortable. I don't think they do it enough. I think in this one, Burrow will do what he wants, especially with Chase there, and they'll get the job done tonight and they'll win the game.
Yeah, all right, I could see that happening. You got a big night ahead of you, so we will bounce out here. Big night for all New York sports fans tomorrow night as well. Yankees, Mets, Jets all playing, and the Jets playing for first place in the division. Bills, New York team, I guess, as well, Mike. Thanks. So good job today. Good show. Good Sunday. Week 6 in the books. We'll be back Tuesday morning, hopefully with the Burrows. If not, definitely Friday morning. We'll see how these next 48 hours of baseball go. Thanks for listening. We will see you in the next one, which will be baseball, back next Sunday for football, 7:30. And I have the bunker every morning of the week that we don't have a Burrows. So thanks for listening. Be safe, be well, and we'll see you in the next one.